And therefore, I took photos of his arm every time we went into one, and he said, "Oh, my God, I've got goosebumps everywhere." So I took a picture of his arm, and it is just lit. The hairs are standing up. So, you know, for me, it's almost like when I say, yeah, we flew over, you know, with a movie camera and no doors on, you know, tipped at a 45, 55-degree angle, don't look down. You know, it's not really that common of a thing to do. So I give great credit to any of the pioneers that are nuts enough to be sitting on the hills and doing night watch with us and walking through the crop circles, because, you know, if it's not the possibility of maybe a spaceship landing or ETs in the field, you know, I mean, I think a lot of the reaction that you'll get when you finally meet one, and I haven't yet, so I have not had my experience, but I think that what we put out will really be reflected back.
Absolutely.
So if any of us have an interaction, how we want to be treated, very much like we should be looking at humans, is what we should be putting out, especially with higher dimensional beings.
Yes.
So when we greet them, we need to greet them really with awe and respect, because I think that's what we'll get back. And if we start shooting at them and screaming, then that's what we'll get back.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think we need to have some precursors, have some thought processing, you know, because any day it could happen. And I think at the rate of how quickly things are moving now, and with the supposed timeline of 2012, you know, I think there is some truth, which is that it is the end of the world as we know it, but not the end of the world. And, you know, there is a secret war going on, no doubt about it. There's all kinds of greedy humans doing really horrific things, but that's not where I'm putting my focus.
Right.
And that's not the kind of stuff I want to ever make movies about, because everybody else is.
Right.
And it's to keep us in fear. And even though it's the kind of movie that makes money, I'm not supporting it.
Right.
So my movies, which somehow I've called myself the accidental filmmaker, are all movies that leave you feeling good and positive and encouraged, because I really am encouraged. I think that we are being gifted so much, and it's just up to each of us to start really reaching out and remembering our dreams and working with all the tools that we already have.
Yes, absolutely. That's good. I like that.
One of my dearest friends, who has been like a teacher for me since I was 3, gave me these words, which I had to remind myself regularly. My dreams help me grow and become more aware. I remember my dreams. I would say it every night, and I would say it first thing in the morning, and train myself to take the time when I get up to really think about what I just learned. And now, luckily, I am with somebody who I can, like, say it to so that they reflect back what I might be forgetting later. And do you have dreams that you remember where you go, whoa, that's a lesson?
Oh, yeah.
Do you take the time to focus on your dreams when you get up in the morning?
Well, sometimes, maybe a week ago, I had a vivid dream that was so intense and so clear. It was during the full moon, and it was like a fully formed movie in 3 parts. And it was all about the ascension and, you know, our transition from one world to another, and lights on the water, and it was an amazing dream. And I wrote it down, and I had no trouble remembering it because it was so vivid. And I remember it to this moment, and I have it written down word for word. Some of the details might have gotten lost, but the bulk of it was something about my reconnecting with another family through this tunnel of light. And it looked almost like a laser beam of light, and there were photons. And it was quite an interesting dream. So yes, I do have those, and they are significant, especially when they're so vivid.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think
yeah.
Yeah, you think what?
Well, I think a lot of people are experiencing that too, as they find their bodies are requiring a deeper level of cleansing, and we're shifting from a less dense material body into a more crystalline form. And I see it everywhere I go now. There's a crystalline element to nature, which is kind of has a diamond-like sparkle and crispness to it. And even the sun is emanating a whiter, cooler light. And it's different than I've ever seen it before or felt it.
Well, I like that thought, and that is the new paradigm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I think a lot of us are having lucid dreams and astral dreams and astral projections and all kinds of different mental stages of seeing the new paradigm as it really is. And where I live now, I feel like I'm already in it.
I do too.
Yeah, do you? Are you living in the woods?
I do.
Oh,
I do.
So lucky.
It almost feels as if we've shifted into another dimension. And I've had so many metaphysical experiences where I have been in a higher dimension that I know that feeling and I know what it's like and I know when it ends and when it comes on and when it lasts. And this one, it kind of started around the date of Carl Kalaman's Conscious Convergence, which I think was the 16th and 17th of July. And people I knew or know have had transformational experiences, religious experiences, awakenings where they shed 30 years of heavy drinking to become wide-eyed children, and things are happening so quickly now that it feels like we're morphing into another world, those of us who are, ready to do that. Yes.
So let's talk about those of us that are ready to do that, the tools that we need now, to really go full bore into the new world. And the nice thing is that everything we need, we already have.
Right.
So we have to really start honing our tools and reprioritizing and having discernment with people.
Yes.
So having a pure water source.
Yes.
I bought a Berkey water purifier, $250, Berkey, Berkey. I did a bunch of research, and it seems to me this one is a good idea, but I think it's a smart move to have a way to keep clean water no matter what we're working with.
Absolutely.
And I think everybody needs to start having just simple bits of learning to grow food, even if it's in flower pots inside your house. Instead of growing, pretty flowers in your house and philodendrons, you might have those for oxygen, but it's a really good idea to start growing organic lettuce. Things that you can pluck every few days, make your salad, and it grows back.
Yep.
But I think that everybody has got to start taking it back home again. And one thing I've learned with watching a lot of people, unfortunately, get, shall we say, robbed and lose an awful lot of money, I think it's happening to so many people. But the punchline of all this is that as we all have less disposable cash, we're going to be buying less disposable crap and throwing out a lot less disposable crap, and then taking less products from the planet.
Yes.
So ultimately, we're going kind of back in nature. And, I try not to be one for capital punishment, but I want a vacuum cleaner. I want to get rid of all of this theft for once and for all. Oh, I'd be dangerous if they gave me the vac. But I think they need to vac and vaporize a whole bunch of what's going wrong on the planet. This is the one thing. I'm not sure how we're going to clean it up quick enough, but I know that there's enough of us that are feeling a real desire to get back to integrity and intuition and growing our food and living with nature rather than taking from nature all the time.
Yes.
This is the way of really turning the clock around. And as possibly the solar flares, if the scientists are right, start really spitting and sputtering and create some serious problem for our technology, well, wouldn't that be healthy for the planet?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't want to be on this phone call or be able to reach my kids across the world, but when I just went to the Glastonbury Symposium, which was the most brilliant speakers, I listened to a man who hands reports still today, since the 1970s, to all the presidents, the prime ministers, the heads of state, to many different countries about what the radar towers are doing to us, and the bees, and the birds, and the flowers, and it all gets tied together. But the radar towers are actually, with all the microwaves and everything, killing us. And they've known this since the 1970s. He said his first study was in 71. And he told the president back then that there are 13 brand new cancers just since the invention of cell phones.
Not surprising. Not surprising. That's why I don't have one.
Well, I was really proud that I didn't take one to Europe, and I'm talking to you. I was curious how the show would go. I've had an iPhone for a while. It's $150 a month.
Ooh.
And I'm not saying something slanderous, but I'm just going to say a fact, which was that AT&T accidentally overcharged me $1,135.
No.
It took them 5 months to take it off my credit card. And then my iPhone started acting up, and all of a sudden the corner of my table got really mad at the iPhone. And next thing I know, I don't have an iPhone. So I bought a really cheap phone. And I started thinking that as long as I don't want to have data on my phone, or have a phone attached to me at all times, this is another way that I am moving into the new paradigm.
Right.
By letting go of, like, my great phone. Honey, my iPhone had movie trailers. Do you want to see my movie trailers? Or would you like to see 15 of the coolest crop circles from 2008, 9, or 10? I had them all on my iPhone. But you know what? I don't miss it at all.
No. And we're going to have to move out of these technological, gadget-driven, sucking the money out of humanity gadgets, because those are not going to be coming with us. We're moving into a natural, organic system in which we will not need much food, if any, and we won't need much air. And the amount of food I've been taking in has been like the amount of a bird, but the food I do take in is organic, green, and plucked fresh from the garden. And I'm not hungry for the rest of the day. And lots of fresh water that has been cleansed, purified. And I've even started putting it out in the sun to let the sun's rays bless it. So we're moving into a much more economical and practical lifestyle in which we don't even need electricity. We can sit in our apartments and houses, if we like, turn out all the lights and enjoy the photons dancing around in the room. And it's like seeing a whole new world when we look around us and start navigating like a blind person. And, you'll bump into a door or a wall or something, but pretty soon you start to see the energy in things. And you see, oh, yes, that's my dog, or that's the cat, or that's my slipper. And everything has a life to it, and you begin to see it, and life becomes much simpler. And you can walk outside in your yards and gardens and just breathe in the air and connect to the stars and the moon, and they will communicate with you and talk to you and give you whatever information you need.
Mm-hmm.
It's
wonderful. You're in Northern California, right?
Yes.
So you're out in the woods of Northern California?
Mm-hmm. I'm overlooking the American River and pine trees on the property and a large grassy hill, which has about 5 tiers to it. And I have a vegetable garden with green beans and chard. And I have to tell you, the zucchini plants came up by themselves this year, and they have these long